Good evening and welcome to Bernu's Sports and Views. And tonight we are pleasure enough to have an up-and-coming, promising young athlete, Robin Stempel. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. And the Bermuda National Equestrian coach, Angela Halloran Smith.
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.
Well, it's a great chance for us to give the Bermuda public a little bit of info about Robin. So, Robin, tell us a little bit about how long you've been riding and what got you interested in dressage.
Yeah, so I have probably been riding since I was about 4. My mom got me introduced to the sport, and I initially started, doing jumping, and hunters and equitation riding. And then I had a pony at some point who was a bit of a challenging ride for me. I think I was about 7 or 8 at the time. So my mom had approached Angela and had asked her, being a dressage coach, if she could help me with flat work on him. And that's kind of how I got started and introduced to the world of dressage. So yeah, and I've been doing it. I'm pretty sure now actually doing dressage for about 8 years. So.
Okay. Now you have a fairly new horse, Rosano Royal 2. Tell us a little bit about your horse. What kind is it? How tall is it?
Yeah, so Ross, I call him Ross, that's his stable name. He is 17 3 hands, which if you don't know is on like the larger side for a horse. His character though is amazing. He's super sweet. He loves, he's very cuddly, and his personality definitely makes up for how big of a horse he can seem, because that can come off as intimidating. But him and I, as partners, we've really clicked and we get along really well.
Great. Now, the reason why you're here tonight is you've qualified for the 2021 FEI North American Young Rider Championships. How did you do that?
So the qualifying procedures include there's 3 tests that I have to do. I have to do a freestyle, and I have to have a certain score, 65%. Or above, which I get basically by, a judge judging how I do certain movements and rating them out of 10. And, a 65% to some people who don't know the sport might be like, oh, that's like a C. But, that's actually a really good score and a really hard one to get in dressage. And then I have to have 1 score for my freestyle, and then I have 2 other tests that I do. I have an individual test, and I have to get 2 62% scores in that or above. And then I have a team test, which I have to get 2 62% scores and above. So I have to get 5 scores in total.
Okay. We're about to show a video of you. What's the video of, and what's the significance of it?
Yeah, so this is the Lexington horse show that I went to. I would say middle of May. I think it was May 20th or around that time, 22nd. And this was actually the show that I got I actually completed getting my scores. It allowed me to drop some of my lower ones, and it was the last time that we got to ride before I've now come back home. So.
Okay, so we can roll the footage.
first round score was 379 and 69 time that.
So people who are not familiar with the sport of dressage, what's going on here? And maybe Angela can jump in and help as well.
Yeah, so this is me doing the team test, and that is basically, I've been training that test since I'd say January, so I haven't been doing it for that long, but you know, in our training, we've just gotten really, like, we've really clicked in the past month, I would say. So being able to ride this test and, you know, get a really strong score in it, it was very satisfying to show that we're at a level now that is pretty competitive. And for only doing it for, you know, about like 4 months, really, it's been a really impressive journey. And it's just exciting the more I do this and do this test, because the better it gets.
Angela, please tell us a bit about yourself and your equestrian background and how you came to become the Bermuda national coach.
I'm sure. I've actually been riding and doing it professionally for over 20 years now. And I actually do have some previous experience with the Young Riders program. I myself attended the Young Riders Championships back in the early 90s. And then as a coach, I actually took 2 riders to the actual championships in the early 2000s. And so it was extremely special for me to sort of run it full circle in the States while I was there, not only being a rider, but then to come back around and be a coach and trainer for some students. So this is extra special for me for the fact that now I'm here in Bermuda doing the same thing and have helped Robin to reach these goals. So it's extremely satisfying and just a really big deal for all of us here on the island.
Angela, for our audience, how big of a deal is this, having Robin go to the Young Riders Championship?
Well, it's huge. And the last time that a Bermudian actually attended the North American Young Rider Championships was Michelle Ingham, who was in the early 90s also. And it's been that long since a Bermuda rider has gone and ridden for the championships in dressage. So it's just fantastic that Robin has accomplished this. And also too, this has been in years in the making. It doesn't just happen overnight. It takes a very long time. We've had to do a lot of little stepping stones to get to this point. And, you know, some of this was having Robin to compete abroad in the early stages of her riding career in dressage, and to see how that she handled going away and riding a different horse, one that she wasn't very familiar with. And also too, sort of having the added pressure that you were riding in a different country and sort of in bigger classes, a little bit stronger competition and all of that. And she did that 3 times over different years before she's gotten to this point. But I think that really helped her to get to this point, because when then she was able to go and start doing the selection trials for the Young Rider Championships, she had already been exposed to this a little bit, and it wasn't quite so new, and she knew a little bit what to expect. And COVID really put a wrench in our plans, because she had actually qualified for the Junior Championships last year here in Bermuda. And that was really great for the dressage community. And sadly, the championships got canceled because of COVID. So I'm super excited that she has this opportunity to finally go to the championships. And not only did she go up a level in order to have to do this, but also being a freshman in college and everything else with life and, you know, living away from home and stuff, she has just handled it beautifully.
Yes. So we do want to mention High Point University. And you're there now, and you're working with who there, and how did you become involved with them?
Yeah, so I was thankfully already used to the area up there, because Angela had originally come out of Greensboro, North Carolina. And so when I would be riding here over summers, and it kind of got to the point where, you know, I was starting to look for more competition away, I would spend summers at Tammy Batts's barn, and that helped me pick, you know, my university, because I wanted to be close to the barn and be able to keep doing the sport. So I'm very thankful with how it ends up. My university is like 20 minutes down the road from the barn, so it's all worked out. And because Angela, is really well acquainted with Tammy Batts, it was pretty easy to have that transition to another coach because their teaching styles are very similar. So I had a very easy transition into university and competing in the States.
Angela, what makes Robin and Ross? I won't say Ross and Rachel, but Robin and Ross. What makes them such a winning combination?
I'll have to say that for both of them, it's their hearts. And Ross has impeccable character and he has a huge heart and he always goes out and he tries. And Robin is the same way. Every session I've ever had with her, whether it's been a training session, prepping for a show or anything, she always tries her best. She always gives 200%. And I think the fact that both of them do that each time is what makes the difference.
Now, Robin, what are your long-term goals for the sport of dressage?
So I like to take this step by step. Of course, right now my focus is on the young riders and I can do that competition up until I'm 21. So it would be nice to do that again because right now I'm only 18. So I think I have 2 more summers after this one to see if I can do it again. Down the lines, we have looked at possibly junior Pan Ams or the Pan Am Games, which would be, a great step. However, I don't know if I want to go per se to the Olympics, but I want to take it one step at a time.
All right. Now, what Bermuda equestrians have inspired you, or maybe some of the legends that you've heard other people talk about, maybe you haven't actually seen in competition, but who have inspired you in the sport?
Well, the first one, this might not be, with like recent news, is Annabelle Collins, who's now being able to go to the Tokyo Olympics, to see another Bermudian rider be able to do that. And me being, getting to see that happen, it kind of shows that us as, an island, we definitely have competitive riders. And that's great to see. And, of course, having Angela, who has been just a phenomenal just mentor to me, and to be able to see her ride and her help coach me, it's just been a great journey, as well as my mom who got me into the sport. So.
Okay. Now, when is the Young North American Young Riders Championship, and how can people follow along and watch your progress?
Yeah, so the dates for the competition are August 9th to the 15th. And then you can follow the Bermuda Equestrian Federation as well as the Bermuda Dressage group with updates on how that show will go.
Right. Now, as we wrap up tonight, both of you, what are your feelings, or what were your feelings that when you were trying to qualify and you finally qualified, and what are your feelings looking forward to August when you can actually compete? We'll start with Angela.
Oh, wow. I'll have to say, just watching her, I was getting routine updates and everything, and videos were sent to me of each competition. And to just see them both progress and mature together was just really exciting. And even in the beginning, when they were having some glitches a little bit, which was completely normal, I could just see that they had it. I could see that it was all going to come together. It was just a matter of time. They just needed some experience together, and then it was all going to come together. And like Robin said, as time went on, the past couple of months, and they really started clicking together, and it showed. And one of the great successes is even though it wasn't completely perfect, they were still getting great scores. And that's something that I want Robin to remember. And, it's not perfect all the time for anybody, but she does an amazing job in the show ring, handles herself beautifully. And so that was really thrilling for me to see. And at the same note, too, Robin has had some other incredible opportunities through this process. She had an opportunity to actually train with one of the top U.S. trainers, Lars Peterson. And I don't know if you're aware of this or not, Robin, but I was getting sent videos of your clinics with him. And I'll have to say, just watching her in those training sessions, I was having a very proud mama bear moment because she just looked right there. She was so in it. Her poise, just how she carried herself, how she was riding. She had really advanced, and it was just amazing. And I was just like, gosh, I've been a part of that.
And Robin, same question to you.
Yeah, I mean, with having qualified for the juniors last year and then not being able to go, and then because of my age and turning 18, that meant that for this summer I would have to do young riders. That step in itself was definitely a really like hard jump for me to take in the first place, because it was going up like a very like 2 levels of difficulty in the sport. And so like our first qualifier we went to, I did get scores, but I wasn't as satisfied with my rides and how it was going. And then, as Angela and I have brought up, it just, at some point, the hard work just works off and it clicks. And the last 2 shows that I was able to go to, I was super happy with my scores. And it's funny as a rider because, I look back at that ride at Lexington and I just think, no, it's so much better now. Like, it can be better. And I love to think that it is always improving.
All right. Well, we appreciate having you both on tonight, and best of luck in August. I'll be following your progress, as I'm sure most of Bermuda, and we wish you the best. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And on behalf of Burn News, I'm your host, Don Burgess. We had Robin Stempel, who qualified for the North American Young Rider Championships, and Bermuda National Equestrian Coach, Angela Halloran Smith. And as always, we wish you a very Bermudaful evening.